The scent of simmering beans and onions took me back to my mother's kitchen in Honduras. 20 hours into my shift, my hands pruned from hot water, I scrubbed another pot while the Miami restaurant emptied around me. I was 20 years old, alone in America, and dead tired, but never without hope. One day, I whispered to myself in Spanish, I will be the one closing the register, not the dishes. That was 40 years ago. My name is Carla, and this is how I built a restaurant empire from nothing but calloused hands and a head full of dreams. In my village, we had dirt floors and intermittent electricity. School ended for me at 12 when my father said, "Girls cook and clean, they don't need books." I accepted this truth until I saw a magazine showing American women in business suits, running companies. The magazine was years old, tattered at the edges, but it planted a seed. I'd stand in our yard at night, gazing at stars, inventing stories about life beyond our mountains. What exists out there? I'd ask my younger sister. She never answered, the question was too big for either of us. At 19, my cousin in Miami sent a letter, "Work is plentiful here. Come." I saved every lempira from selling handmade tortillas for 8 months. The journey north cost $3,000, money borrowed from everyone I knew, promising to pay them back. The debt felt like rocks in my pockets. The bus ride to the border took 16 hours. The rest of the journey, walking, hiding, waiting, I try not to remember. The America I finally reached looked nothing like the magazine pictures. Miami in 1983 was a shock of noise, speed, and indifference. My cousin's apartment housed 8 people in 2 rooms. I slept on the floor for 6 months. "You need papers to get good jobs," my cousin explained. I found work at a small Cuban restaurant called Martinez Cafe. The owner asked few questions when I applied to wash dishes. I earned $3.35 an hour and worked 14-hour shifts. The water burned my skin. My back ached from standing. Every night I fell asleep counting dollars in my head, calculating how long until my debt was paid. The restaurant became my school. Between dirty plates, I learned English by listening to cooks shout orders. I wrote words on my arm with a pen, studied them during bathroom breaks. The chef, Luis, noticed. "You want to learn? I teach you prep work." More money, he offered 3 months in. I started coming in 2 hours early, unpaid, to learn to chop, measure, and mix. The kitchen rhythm made sense to me, like a dance everyone knew the steps to accept me. But I was learning. At night, I attended free English classes at a community center. The teacher, Mrs. Peterson, stayed late to help me practice. "You have a gift for languages," she said. I didn't believe her then. My day started at 5 a.m. and ended at 11 p.m. Sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. "This life is killing you," my roommate said one night, finding me crying over a textbook I couldn't understand. "No," I told her. "This life is building me." After 2 years washing dishes and prepping food, I had paid my debt back home. Luis promoted me to line cook when someone quit. The first time I cooked a complete order, arroz con pollo that made a customer ask to thank the chef, I felt something new, pride. The restaurant owner noticed me practicing English with customers who sat at the counter. One day he said, "You like talking. Tomorrow you try serving tables." Tips were scary magic, some days rich, others poor. But even poorer days beat kitchen wages. I saved everything. Every single dollar. When a small coffee stand went up for sale near the beach, just a counter and coffee machine, I counted my savings, $6,700. "You're crazy to spend everything," my cousin warned. Maybe I was. But I signed the papers, renamed it Carla's Coffee, and worked it alone every day from 5 a.m. until 2 p.m., then rushed to my serving job until midnight. The coffee stand taught me business, inventory, costs, margins, customer service. I made mistakes every day. Once I ordered too many pastries that spoiled, losing $300 I couldn't afford. I cried while throwing them away. A regular customer who worked in banking saw me upset and asked what happened. After I explained, he returned the next day with a small ledger book. "Write everything here. Everything that comes in, everything that goes out," he instructed. "Do this every day." That little book saved my business. 6 months later, I sold the coffee stand for $12,000, nearly double my investment. With that money plus 2 more years of savings, I rented a failing sandwich shop and transformed it into a small Honduran restaurant. 8 tables, no alcohol license, just authentic food from my village. I named it Siyapa after my mother. The first 6 months almost broke me. Some days I served only 4 or 5 customers. I cooked, served, cleaned, and managed alone to cut costs. "You make food from your heart," an old Cuban man told me after eating my bailadas. "This will not fail." He was right, but success came slowly. A small newspaper review brought curious diners. Word spread. By the 1-year mark, there were lines on weekends. I hired my first employee, a dishwasher. The symbolism wasn't lost on me. When I handed him his first paycheck, I remembered my own first weeks in America. "This country rewards work," I told him. "But it rewards smart work even more." Over the next 10 years, I opened 3 more locations. Each restaurant taught new lessons, some painfully expensive. I lost $50,000 on a location that never found its customers. Another time, a manager stole $20,000 before I caught him. Each setback felt like Honduras again, that desperate place where nothing moves forward. The difference was now I had tools, education, experience, and a community of other restaurant owners who shared advice. The real change came when a local business magazine featured Siyapa in a list of Miami's best-kept secrets. The article mentioned my story, from village girl to restaurant owner. A publisher called the next day. "People love stories like yours," she said. "Would you write a cookbook?" I laughed out loud. I barely finished elementary school. "I can't write a book. You can tell your stories, and we'll help with the rest." That cookbook, From Siyapa's Kitchen, sold 30,000 copies. The advance paid for my first home in America, a small 2-bedroom house I bought at age 42. The publicity brought investors. One group wanted to franchise Siyapa nationwide. The numbers they offered made me dizzy, millions of dollars for my brand. I turned them down. "This business is personal," I explained. "Each restaurant needs my eyes, my taste." Instead, I took a business loan and expanded my own way. Today, Siyapa Restaurants has 11 locations across Florida, each serving food that reminds Hondurans of home and introduces Americans to our flavors. Last year, I visited my village in Honduras. The dirt roads remain, but now solar panels power lights and cell phones connect them to the world. I built a community center there with a computer lab and library. The mayor organized a welcome dinner. Children performed traditional dances. An old woman approached me afterward, my elementary school teacher. "I always knew you would do something special," she said. I didn't correct her. The truth is, no one expected anything from me, not even myself in those early days. At 60, I still visit each restaurant weekly. My hands still remember the feeling of dishwater. My back remembers pain. These memories keep me grounded. Young people ask me for secrets to success. They want a formula, a shortcut. I tell them this: work when others rest. Learn when others sleep. Save when others spend. The difference between dreams and reality is simply time and effort. Some nod politely and never return. Others listen with fire in their eyes, the same fire that kept me going through those endless Miami nights. Last month, I noticed a young woman washing dishes in my flagship restaurant. She was practicing English by repeating menu items to herself. I recognized myself in her determination. I sat with her after her shift and asked about her dreams. I want to open a bakery someday, she said, eyes down like she was confessing something shameful. I handed her my card with my cell number written on the back. Call me when you're ready, I told her. Dreams need partners sometimes. What about you? What dream sits quiet in your heart, waiting for permission to grow? The journey from dishwasher to restaurant owner took me 40 years, but it began with a single shift, a single saved dollar, a single English word learned. Your journey starts today. The only question is whether you'll take the first step.